But we begin tonight with the wildest of American dichotomies. The United States is the world's largest carceral state. We put more people in prison than any country on earth. With about 330 million people in our total population, the U.S. currently has more than 1.7 million of those people in prison. By contrast, the second highest prison population in the world, China, has 1.6 million prisoners out of a population of just under 1.5 billion people. Number 4 incarcerator India has more than 573,000 prisoners out of 1.4 billion people. And number 5, Russia has more than 433,000 prisoners that we know of out of 146 million people, including those 3 Americans they're holding hostage and political prisoners like Vladimir Kara-Murza. But back to the USA. Just to put it in perspective, our prison population amounts to about 1/4 of the prison population of the entire world. And if you go by incarceration rate, the only countries with a higher rate of locking people up per 100,000 citizens are El Salvador, Cuba, Rwanda, Turkmenistan, and the territory of American Samoa. In short, the United States is very good at locking people up. But somehow, not this guy. For some reason, the U.S. is having a really hard time locking up this one person, Donald Trump. Even just getting him to face a criminal trial feels impossible, as his lawyers seek to delay these cases from proceeding until after the American public decides whether or not they want him back in the White House. We saw this effort on full display today in 2 different hearings. First in Florida, in the classified documents case, where Trump is literally accused of stealing national secrets. Trump-appointed Judge Aileen Cannon did not rule on when that trial should start, or even if it should happen before November. And in Georgia, a judge heard closing arguments on whether Fulton County DA Fani Willis should be disqualified from that state's election interference case, which, if she is, would all but certainly delay that trial until, you guessed it, after the election. But why? Why is it so hard to get Donald Trump to actually face accountability for these very serious alleged crimes? I mean, if you were one of the thousands of rubes who stormed the Capitol on January 6, 2021, fueled by Trump's big lie, which he launched literally because he was embarrassed that he was going to lose to Joe Biden and then did, in fact, lose to Joe Biden, you are probably in jail right now, or you've spent time in prison for it. You've probably lost your job and been humiliated in your local community. In short, your life was ruined by your damn near religious belief in Donald Trump. If you live in a red state and you seek an abortion, even if you are 10 years old, your doctor can be reprimanded for it. And maybe your Uber driver if you live in Texas. If you are a woman in Missouri and you are raped and impregnated as a result of that rape and you seek an abortion, the state of Missouri wants to put you in prison. If you're a woman in Ohio, you can face trial for having a miscarriage, just in case your miscarriage was really an abortion. Because, you know, in our new Handmaid's Tale America, as our dumbest U.S. senator said,
we need to have more kids. We need to have an opportunity to do that. We need more kids. We need the people to have the opportunity to have kids.
Yeah, except if the kids come via IVF, which the Alabama Supreme Court seems intent on banning. Something that could happen nationwide, too, because the right-wing Christians say so and they're in charge of us. If you are the former top prosecutor in Baltimore, you can be tried and convicted for taking money out of your own 401k to buy a vacation property, or, let's just be honest, to punish you for prosecuting the cops who killed Freddie Gray. If you are Donald Trump's former lawyer, you can be jailed for taking out a second mortgage to write a 6-figure check to the porn star Donald Trump slept with, though married, and re-jailed for refusing to stop writing a book about why you jumped off the Trump train. If you are a former military intelligence officer, you will absolutely be jailed for taking classified documents home. But if you're Donald Trump, somehow you can't be jailed. Not for stealing classified documents, not for lying about your property values to get cheaper loans and cheating on decades of your taxes. And weirdly enough, not even for trying to overthrow the government. Apparently, if you're Donald Trump, and only if you are Donald Trump, you are above the law in America. You are unjailable. The Justice Department will slow walk charging you with insurrection for 3 full years while charging everyone who did the ground invasion of the Capitol. And the Attorney General will even appoint a special prosecutor to charge you, even though you're no longer president. So why would you need a special prosecutor when we have a whole Attorney General? If you are Trump, and only if you are Donald Trump, the feds will beg you for 18 months to please give them back the nuclear secrets that you're hiding in your bathroom instead of kicking down your door and taking them like they would any other American. And then when you do get charged by that same special prosecutor, somehow the random system will put you in front of your favorite handpicked judge who will slow walk the case for you. And no less a court than the Supreme Court of the whole United States, filled with 3 more of your handpicked judges, plus 3 other Republicans will slow walk all of your cases to make sure that they don't happen until after the election that they clearly hope will make you president again so you can pardon yourself and get away with everything. And tens of millions of Americans will not just cheer for these awful things. They, too, will try to make you president again so you can kill another million people in a pandemic and crash the economy and steal migrant babies from their moms again? What a country for Donald Trump. The rest of us, not so much. Joining me now is Andrew Weissmann, former senior member of the Mueller probe, and MSNBC legal analyst Katie Phang, trial attorney and host of the Katie Phang Show right here on MSNBC, and Tim O'Brien, senior executive editor of Bloomberg Opinion and MSNBC political analyst. Andrew Weissmann, I go to you first. Talk me down, my friend, because it does seem to me that this one American out of 330 million Americans is untouchable.
Well, I'm going to agree and slightly disagree. The thing that I think you are completely right about is in this country, if you are wealthy and white, there is a different system of justice, both at the federal and state level. I spent many, many years in the Department of Justice prosecuting people and companies, whether it was organized crime or corporate crime, who were wealthy white people. And it is just impossible to not face facts that they are given a disproportionate amount of justice. Their cases are reviewed in a closer way. Judges look at them, and judges who for many, many years were also of the exact same race and class and wealth would identify themselves with the defendants and not view them the same way that they viewed other people. And just to be clear, I am not saying that that is not the appropriate level of scrutiny that should be given to criminal defendants. It's that it's not given to everyone. Everyone is entitled to that close scrutiny. And it just simply is the case that if you are in the group of people that Donald Trump is in, you have that heightened scrutiny that is not afforded to everyone else. Now, so he is in a group of people that enjoy that. There's no question that because he is the former president, he is getting an extra dollop, just to put it bluntly, of scrutiny in connection with all of his cases, whether it's his conduct pre-trial, where there would be very different bail conditions if he was even let out on bail, to the amount of review on appeal, to, frankly, blatant ways in which Judge Cannon has referred to the fact that he deserves extra and better treatment because of his former position. She was reversed on that precise ground, with the 11th Circuit saying, no, he's not. He's treated just like anyone else. And you have the D.C. Circuit saying, no, he is citizen Trump now. Right. But that is a real issue in this country of people not being willing to see everyone as we're all the same station. We may be doing different jobs at different points in our lives, but we all should be treated equally. That is what the law requires. Anyway, I think I've gone on way too long. You have other wonderful guests to speak to this.
Well, I mean, look, Katie, the point is very well taken. And Katie Phang, Andrew Weissmann is absolutely right that there are 2 tiers of justice for rich white guys and everybody else. But, sometimes rich black guys can take advantage of it, too. O.J. Simpson took advantage of it. He was rich and he could afford a great defense. But this country actually jailed the former vice president of the United States, Richard Nixon's vice president. Like, this country has managed to put a few rich white guys in jail. But I have never seen anything like the entire system move to benefit one single person all the way through the Supreme Court like there it is moving for him. And I'm just going to give you a contrast. This is a case you've been following. Fani Willis. Fani Willis is attempting to do a RICO investigation of Donald Trump. Somehow, her personal relationship, not with the judge, not with somebody on the other side where it would be a conflict of interest, but literally her interpersonal relationships have now gotten Trump to be able to delay even that case. And that was the one that was untouchable because it's a state case. He can't pardon himself from it. And yet even that case is thwarted while his C-list defense gets to try to humiliate this woman about how much cash she has in her house. So she gets humiliated publicly, and he, again, walks away.
Yeah, so Andrew Weissmann, as we all know, has such an elegant way of explaining things, but I would kind of make it a little bit more blunt, because it's not just a two-tier system or a double standard system. It's actually a different total standard. It's the Trump effect, right? It's the bending over backwards by not only the judiciary, but by prosecutors for fear of the political prosecution angle that is being touted by Trump. It's this idea that one man and one man only can have a different standard applied to him when it comes to the efficacy of our judicial system, when it comes to how these prosecutions are approached. It's not even just the criminal cases, right? It's the civil cases too. It's, are the judges acting like that they're completely, impartial, and all of the scrutiny that happens? It's amazing, Joy, because the scrutiny doesn't go on defendant Trump.
Today is the first day of Women's History Month, and unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard country music has gotten Beyonce-fied.
St. Texas, ain't no hold'em. Lay our cards down, 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 down.
After their surprise release last month of 2 singles off of Beyonce's upcoming album, Texas Hold'em and 16 Carriages, unsurprisingly, some folks weren't happy that this black woman superstar in the worlds of R&B and pop would venture into country, even though she is from Houston, Texas, literally. A small country music station in Oklahoma initially refused to play Texas Hold'em, but changed its tune after being inundated by the Beehive. Last week, Beyonce became the first black woman to top Billboard's Hot Country chart and got the stamp of approval from the queen of country music herself, the great Dolly Parton, for doing so. The most Grammy-winning artist in history knows how to knock down barriers for herself. But Beyonce is also giving some deserved shine to other black country and folk artists, like Rhiannon Giddens, who plays banjo on Texas Hold'em. Giddens wrote about the black roots of country music this week, reminding us enslaved people of the African diaspora created the banjo in the Caribbean in the 1600s. This is historical fact. The hype around Bey's new single is also amplifying the many black artists already in country music. It's the Beyonce boost in streams for black women country artists, including a 275% increase. Wow. For a pioneer of the genre, Linda Martell, the first black woman artist to play the Grand Ole Opry back in 1969. I'm joined now by songwriter and producer Alice Randall, the first black woman to co-write a #1 country single and the author of the upcoming memoir, My Black Country, which also has a companion album. It is so great to talk with you, Alice Randall. And so I just want to start by getting your take on all of the sort of contretemps around Beyonce charting in country. I have to play this. This is John Schneider. He used to be on a show that used to glorify the Confederate flag on a car. Here he is. By the way, he's from New York, but here he is.
St. Texas, ain't no hold'em.
Oh. We don't have it. Okay, well, I'm just going to read what he said. This is what John Schneider, who used to play one of either Bo or Luke Duke in the Dukes of Hazzard, he said, they've got to make their mark, just like a dog in a dog walk park. Every dog has to mark every tree, so that's what's going on here. Would you like to respond to that?
That comment is idiocy. I'll just say that simply. That is an uninformed comment. So African Americans have been in recorded country music since its beginning. It's Women's History Month, so I want to shout out immediately to Lil Hardin. Johnny Cash declared, the great Johnny Cash, that Blue Yodel Number 9 was the most iconic country song of all time. Who played on every bar of Blue Yodel Number 9? Lil Hardin, a Black woman. That was 1930. Country itself begins, I believe, with DeFord Bailey in 1927 playing Pan American Blues on WSM radio. Black people have been in recorded country since the beginning, and as the brilliant Rhiannon Giddens pointed out, we have been contributing to the form since the form was unrecorded, since it was not before it was recorded.
Yeah, I mean, and creating the banjo kind of makes the Black folk a part of country music. It is interesting, the sort of, music is one of the most segregated formats, right? It is extremely segregated. And there was this idea that there's white radio and Black radio. Even rock and roll gets segregated. After Black folks create it, suddenly, white people will redo it. People like Elvis become superstars from it. But then they segregate it and say now Black people can't do rock and roll. It's a weird thing that happens in the music industry. Why do you think it's still happening now in the 21st century?
It's complex, and that has to do with marketing, because I want to make it very clear that country music, by definition, in my opinion, is a combination of English, Irish, and Scottish ballad forms, plus African-American influences, plus evangelical Christianity. It actually requires African-American influences to be country, or it's folk music. So, so those have to do with marketing things. At some point, someone thought they made more money by dividing the audiences. And some people, I think it was part of how race was constructed in America, to divide these audiences. And I think that there has been a kind of cultural redlining that Beyonce has triumphantly evaded in this moment.
Yeah. It is interesting to listen to somebody, an actor from New York who pretended to be a Southerner, going after a woman who's literally from Texas and who is a product of the very culture that created country music. She's much more legitimate in the genre than anything he could ever do. So, the audacity of him to comment at all.
I believe I invite all voices into the conversation, but I will just say that, for example, the Texas, another big Black influence on country and Western music, or a lot of people don't know. I've heard this comment, your costume is not don't take our culture. Your costume is not our culture. Well, those are people who don't understand that a large percentage of 19th and 20th century cowboys were Black and brown. Yeah. And that actually cowboy culture is significantly African-American culture. And cowboy songs, the 19th century cowboy songs that were discovered, were the first cowboy camp that the Thorpe came across was a Black cowboy camp singing songs. So there are many different ways that Black culture has entered into country and Western music. Absolutely.
Cowboys were essentially enslaved cattle herders who then went private practice and essentially were doing the same cattle herding they were doing as enslaved people for money. A quarter of them were Black. Alice Randall isn't going anywhere, because guess what? It's about to be our favorite part of the week. Who Won the Week is back, and we'll be right back.